writer friends, and welcome to Right Away After Party. I'm Nick,
And I'm Kath.
and we were just discussing two truths and a lie. So, Kath teaches a wonderful writing workshop, and I want her to put that up on the screen so she can advertise it. But she was saying that she was a way to get into your writing is to play this little exercise. So, what were you saying, Kath, about that? I want to hear more about that.
Um, well, it's nothing that I invented. I just repurposed it for this. And it's a great icebreaker, but also it's a great tool for when you are stuck with a group. Maybe you have a group that you meet with, uh, and write down two truths and a lie about yourself. And you're the expert on yourself. And that makes the whole exercise of writing easy because you know everything about yourself. You've lived with yourself forever. You know the things that are true and you know the things that are not true about yourself. You also know the things that you would like to be true that maybe are not true. So you write these things down, and if you're with other people, you all guess who told the lie. Now, beyond that, what it does is it gives you some great starting material for pieces of writing. You can then go on to make a piece of writing about three people, and two of the people can tell those truths, and one of them can tell the lie. And how does it work when those two characters that you've just created out of nowhere,
Mhm.
you hang on to that truth, you hang on to that truth, and then the third person hangs on to the lie. And then what happens to that trio of people? Because a lot of the times when we're writing all the time, we forget that we need to go play for a while,
Mhm.
right? I don't
Yeah.
know if you do that, Nick, but through the writing groups that I facilitate, it allows me just to be in the playground, just to play with things that have nothing to do with the body of work that I'm working on, but
Mhm.
it's more about just exercising my brain in funny, crazy, silly ways. And if I set an intention at the beginning of my session, like what I want to take away when I leave the session, 95 times out of 100, I'm given the thing that I need.
Mhm.
So, uh, as the second part of that activity, there's something in Natalie Goldberg's book, Writing Down the Bones, where she talks about getting together with a good friend and telling stories. So in the chapter, Talk is the Exercise Ground.
Mhm.
This is a woman who's written many, many books, and she didn't want to write a book about writing, which is really interesting, isn't it? She didn't
Yeah.
want to write a book about writing.
It's really one of my favorites. I love it. I mean,
Exactly. And
there's
anyone
not a
that I
ton of yeah, because I love it because it's not a ton of craft like in it, but it's just so much of like our lives as writers. Like she's just, it just I just resonated with so much that she's talked about.
Exactly. I mean, if you just listen to some of her titles, Don't Marry the Fly, Don't Use Writing to Get Love,
Mm.
Obsessions, Details, The Power of Details. They're all little essays and little vignettes
Yeah.
with a message inside them. And sometimes there are three or four that kind of tie together. And sometimes they're just like loose cannons, one here, one there. So this one on page 84 says, Get together with a good friend and tell stories. Tell about the time that you had your palm read or that you did whatever, blah, blah, blah. Put details in the story. Maybe include a little lie. Now you see how that kind of connected to the first activity?
Yeah.
I personally find it really hard to tell a lie.
Mm.
So I go bright red. Yeah. I begin to sweat. My palms go cold. And if I'm in the lie for any reason or trying to not say something that you know, that I've done or that I've said or whatever the lie is,
Yeah.
I will start tearing up.
Oh.
So it's really hard for me to tell a lie. So it was hard practice for me to write a lie about myself.
Oh.
Mm. So it's very interesting. So then coming and telling these stories, and you write down these stories, and suddenly you get this little frisson because something has popped up that fits what you need for the body of work you're working in.
I
Because
love that.
ultimately, the back of your mind is always working
Hmm.
on your stories that you're working with.
Yeah,
Even when you're not at your computer, even when you're doing something else, the back of your mind is
yeah.
always, you know
So
about
going. Yeah, for sure.
that.
I totally agree with that. I love the idea of the three truths and a lie applying to writing because I've played that game before, and my kids and I have become a board game that's similar to that too.
Mm.
And but I've never thought about applying it to writing. Um, and I love that idea. It's so much fun because you can just sit there and if you're, especially if you're stuck, like you're stuck with
Yeah.
your character, if your character's kind of gotten stale or you've hit that, that mushy middle that like everyone hates so much and you're like, what can I put here? And you just, what if your character just told a lie and now has to live with that lie and like, and somehow unravel it and get,
Yeah.
and
And how the lie snowballs.
yeah, because like you want to smooth it out, but it just keeps getting rougher and rougher, and you're like,
Because you
oh
can't
my God.
remember who did I tell the lie to and who did I tell the truth to?
Yeah. And you have to remember the lie. Like, I mean, what if you forget the lie?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You're
Ah!
like, I never said that. You're like, oh, yes, you did. All
Ah.
right. Stay tuned for part two. Kath and I are going to come back and we're going to do two truths and a lie. So stay tuned.
Bye for now.